what is the tipping point of when you need to put in a policy or process? Have you ever experienced paralysis by process, meaning you have over-processed to a point where your tasks are inefficient? Thoughts on this?
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I was thinking about because one of the questions that you had, Spencer, is like, how do you identify a process that needs to be improved or updated? Mm-hmm. And this is along these same lines. It is possible to over index on process. And I kind of talked about this a little while ago. You can go a little crazy here. And it's hard to articulate. It's more of a gut feel. If you're immersed in your business and you're sort of staying close to your team and getting feedback from them, you're going to hear like, hey, this is just taking way too long. And I think it's going to manifest as people not using the process software anymore. They're just they're gonna ignore it, right? They're gonna do what they know needs to be done, and they may go back later and kind of check things off, or they may just ignore it completely. And so what I've identified is like, when you're noticing that processes aren't getting completed, like tasks or aren't getting checked off, or processes are showing up overdue, it's usually not the employee's fault, unless there's just like a one-off employee and everyone else is doing great. It usually means there's something going on with the process, and it's a hindrance for them, not a help. It should be a help. It should be useful. It should be easy. And so that's my cue to dig in and chat with the team about, hey, I'm really noticing that you guys aren't like using the lease renewal process. So why don't we grab lunch and let's walk through it and tell me what's broken? Because you guys know more than me about how to do it at this point. What should this look like? Is this out of order? Can we just delete this because it doesn't make sense to do it anymore? Get them involved, and you should notice that like they're using the software consistently. And if they're not, part of this is you need to enforce a culture of task completion. I think this is important, that at the end of every day, you review your workflow software. And if there's like 50 tasks that are undone at the end of every day, that's a big problem. And you need to like hammer that on your team until that's normal, that everything's done at the end of every day, 98%. But sort of on the other flip side of that same coin is what I was just describing. There may be issues with the processes that are causing them to not want to or not be able to get everything done at the end of every day. So you have to sort of attack both of those at the same time.
Well, I think that's a great point. So, and this goes into an exercise that you did not long ago, because I went and read one of your newsletters. You actually, you've been working on the business a lot, and you decided like, I need to do a deep dive of what's going on in the business. So what you did was like just set up yourself a little cubicle out with all the operations people in your company. Talk about that experience and what you discover, because it goes along with asking your people, how are these processes working?
Yeah, exactly. So I had taken, a year or two where I was operating from a pretty high level. I had hired a COO, and then last year I took like the whole month of June off, and that was the whole thing. And so I had decided, partially because it had been a while and partially because we were frankly having an issue with churn, that I needed to get a little closer to the metal again. And so I stepped out of my corner office and I set up a cubicle in the middle of our office so I could overhear everything. And I spent a whole week, I cleared my calendar, spent a whole week out there, and every day I spent with a different person, sometimes two people, and I kind of shadowed them and really got into it with them, not in a like, I want to find out if you're doing your job right way, but in a, I want to find out like what's taking up a lot of your time that's not important, or what processes aren't working for you right now, or where are you seeing that things aren't going the way they should. And it was super fun and really valuable, I think, both for me and from the team, from the feedback I got through my COO, to sort of get down and dirty and, metaphorically turn some wrenches, right? And like, even like to the level of like, what's in your inbox? Like, who's emailing you? Why? Like, it's crazy where the time goes at a management company. And that gets back to like the owner wanting to do some weird tax thing in courthouse, right? They're always coming up with weird stuff. And I think what ends up happening is when you hire great people, they're just by nature really helpful and really friendly, and they want to do good. And so when tenants and clients and even vendors and random neighbors who aren't even customers of ours are emailing and calling, they're like burning up all this time, which is super frustrating for me as someone who pays their salary. But they're not really doing anything wrong morally. They're just trying to be helpful, right? So it's like, all right, who's emailing you? Why is your phone ringing right now? You shouldn't even be on like the main line, right? Like just random stuff like that. So that was really valuable, and I encourage anyone who that resonates with it's worth the time to do that.